All right, hello and welcome to the first of three video series that you're going to see regarding the topic that you're going to learn about. So, what we're going to talk about today and for the next two PowerPoints is going to be the idea of online communication, broadly speaking. And what's going to happen, and the main theme that I'm going to teach you is that online communication comes with it some great shortcuts in terms of how we talk to other people. However, those shortcuts often lead to miscommunication, which I'm going to try to teach you is not always a good thing. All right, so the communication is going to be very important, obviously. This is how we as humans, we talk to each other, and we can do this multiple ways, not just in the words we say, but also in the text messages and emails we send. We can do nonverbal communication. There's a lot of examples of how this works. And history is full of miscommunication issues. For example, I just read an article from that looked at the Kennedy administration during the Bay of Pigs. And the reason why that failed so miserably was because there was a miscommunication between the ground forces that were taken on the Cuban army and the U.S. Air Force, where the U.S. Air Force, I think was, if I read it correctly, was a couple of hours late getting there because they just misread and miscommunicated what time they were supposed to be there, right? But here's a kind of a sobering fact in that over the past 5 years, communication failures in hospitals have led to, you see the number there, it's over 1,700 deaths in the past 5 years. And these apparently could, and according to this news report, these could have been prevented by better communication between the nurses and the doctors, nurses and nurses, and doctors and doctors. So there just could have been better communication. So miscommunication is a big deal, right? And it's a very big deal. And what's going to happen in these situations is that miscommunication is going to be further highlighted in the online world because of something that I'm calling text language. And I'll define that in a second. But even though miscommunication happens in daily life, just by you talking to someone, verbally talking to someone, either on the phone or in person, whatever, I'm going to argue that these miscommunications get amplified when the online world is being used. And that's going to be the topic of the next three, of this one and the next two PowerPoints. All right, so let's talk about communication clarity. All right. With the popularity of the internet, especially today, all right, we have many modes of communicating with people. And this is, I actually argue, I think this is a good thing, right? It's a good thing that we were able to talk to people. I can send emails to people all over the world, and I can receive emails, and I can chat online with people from all over the world. And it's actually great that we can communicate so easily across so many distances. And in your generation, with the you guys were kind of born and the internet was around, this is something that you probably take for granted in the sense that how quickly people can communicate with each other, and this is once again a very good thing. However, text language makes this difficult. So what text language is this is where these are words, symbols, letters used to represent your thoughts, but they're truncated and they don't follow our rules of typical writing. That's what I mean by culture's lexicon. So let me give you an example. So there was a study in 2009 that kind of worked through the types of miscommunication you can do based on the types of text language. So for example, shortenings. So instead of brother or sister, it's bro, sis. Contradictions. So that's going to be like like these things here, where instead of saying text, it's txt. Please is plz. So it's more phonetic, if you will. Things where you take off the G's at the end of words. You take off, there's other clippings where you take off some things. Symbols, acronyms, emoticons, where you combine, or homophones, where you combine things together, like tomorrow with the number instead of TO. Misspellings, non-conventional spellings like school. I always thought this was a clever one, school with a K. And also kind of accent stylization. So what's happening with all of these things is that we get to this place where now because you want to communicate faster, text language is going to be, at least you would think, useful. But what's going to happen here is that by sending these types of words with these types of text languages to them, it's going to most likely increase miscommunication. All right, so why do we care? So why do we care is that whenever you use text language or any sort of electronic communication, you lose information, and this is what leads to miscommunication. So what's missing? Well, you're missing things like tone of voice, meaning, and sarcasm, right? That's one thing. And this is going to be whether you use text language or not. So if I texted something like, come to my office now, to somebody, they don't know if I'm being mean. They don't know if it's urgent. They don't know if I'm just like, hey, come whenever. Conversely, if I send a mean text to someone that says like, haha, forget you, it's unclear if I'm kidding or if I'm being serious. Hopefully the haha part of that kind of helps with the tone, but that's never known. So you're missing a lot of things. All right, you're missing a lot of things. And furthermore, this gets complicated when things don't translate well. Like, for example, this is a funny string of text where the dad says, Mom's back in the hospital, LOL. And the person's like, why is that funny? It's like, the person's like, it's not funny. Then why'd you laugh out loud? And the dad's like, laugh out loud? I thought that meant lots of love. Right? So this is once again where miscommunication occurs. All right? And what's missing, remember, is the tone, the sarcasm, the meaning, and that's going to be magnified when you use all that text stuff we just talked about, where you use the no punctuation, the capital letters, the shortened abbreviations, the pseudonyms, the text language, the smiles, the emoticons. All these things are going to magnify the fact that you're missing the tone, the sarcasm, the meaning, and that is what leads to miscommunication. So it actually follows in kind of a stepwise manner where, once again, step one, you use the text lingo. Step two, and that text lingo has no punctuation, capital letters. It uses all those text things. Step two, there's going to be something missing, sarcasm, meaning, tone of voice. Something's going to be missing because of that. And then finally, that leads to the miscommunication. All right. So it's going to be problematic, right? So some common misconceptions that people have about text lingo is going to be this, that everyone uses this nowadays, so it's not a big deal. They'll get it. Well, that's not always true, especially when you're communicating with someone who's not in your age group, right? But needless to say, even when people are in your age group, if someone is not well-versed in this text lingo, that's a problem. Like, everyone should know what LOL means, you would think, but as the last example showed on the previous slide, that's not always the case. Right, but there's always these new text lingos getting created all the time, and this is what's going to be problematic because not everyone's going to know what that means. Also, once again, because common misconception is they'll know if I'm kidding or not based on my text lingo, and that's not always true because remember, meaning, sarcasm, and tone all get lost whenever you're talking to someone online or via text lingo. I'm calling it text lingo, but it doesn't have to be text messages. And finally, this thing, by sending this, it saves time and it's convenient. And that's true for you. It saves you time because instead of typing out the word tomorrow, if you just put to and then morrow, that's just one letter you save typing. But that one letter, you multiply that by however many words you're sending, you're going to save time. That's true. So it's convenient for you. It saves time for you. But in reality, whoever's receiving that, it may not be convenient for them, and it may not save time. All right? Because they have to decipher this thing. They have to work through working through your text lingo, which may not be the easiest thing to do. So let's sum up this idea. So overall, I'm presenting the idea that miscommunication happens all the time in the world. It happens. That doesn't matter if you're face-to-face, if you're using text lingo, whatever. Miscommunication is going to happen. However, because of the text lingo that is used, the text language that's used in all online forms of communication, these issues get magnified. And when they get magnified because you lose the tone, you lose the meaning of words, you lose sarcasm whenever you're communicating online. And text language helps kind of further amplify that once again. And that's going to lead to miscommunication issues. And it will matter. And I'm going to show you that. So the next two PowerPoint presentations I'm going to show you. One's going to show you some cool studies that actually show how this is a problem. And then I'm going to show you some examples of real world events that have happened because of online kind of these issues. So what you need to do now is I want you to pause the video when I'm done talking, and what you're going to see is a web link below. You can either copy and paste it or type it straight into your web browser. There's 2 short questions I need you to fill out. If you were paying attention to this at all, this will be easy for you to get. So please go on to here, answer those questions, and then you need to watch the next PowerPoint slide.